Sagittarius, fate is watching you. Someone you once loved will return. Then the end. Sagittarius, if you have found your way to these words today, it is not an accident. Somewhere deep inside you have felt it, the quiet gaze of fate upon your life, a presence too profound to name yet impossible to ignore. There is a door stirring in your life now, a door connected to a chapter long closed, a love once cherished, a wound once buried. But this is not the return you once prayed for. It is something far more sacred. It is the ritual of your rebirth. Today the universe does not ask you to wait, to ache or to wonder. It asks only this. Are you ready to meet the part of yourself that no longer clings to what was? Are you ready to release what no longer fits the brilliance of who you are becoming? If your heart stirs as you hear this, it is because you already know deep within, the moment of transformation is near. A soul from your past may return, but not to stay. They return only so you can see with your own clear eyes that you have outgrown what once broke you. If this message resonates, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our family at Zodiac Wisdom. Here you are seen. Here your soul's journey is honored. Here you are never alone. Let's step across this sacred threshold together. Gate 1, the silent return. A test of the soul. There are moments, Sagittarius, when the universe sends something back to you not to rekindle an old fire, but to prove to you that you are no longer the same. Fate is moving silently now, arranging the return of someone you once loved deeply, someone whose absence once hollowed you out, someone who for a time carried your heart in their hands without knowing how to hold it. But this time is different. This is not a story of unfinished love. This is the final test. A sacred invitation for you to step fully into the strength you have spent years quietly building. When the past comes knocking, it will not come with warning signs or dramatic music. It will slip in through a memory, a chance encounter, a sudden message after long silence. And for a fleeting moment your heart may tighten, remembering what was once beautiful, what was once promised, what was once yours. But deep within you, Sagittarius, something even stronger will awaken. The part of you that no longer needs their love to feel whole. I have seen this moment in many lives before you. Like Ava, a vibrant Sagittarius woman who spent years healing from a love that shattered her sense of self. When her former partner reached out unexpectedly, apologizing, wanting another chance, Ava found herself surprised. Not by their words but by her own response. She no longer felt the pull to say yes. She felt gratitude for the love that was once shared, sorrow for the ways it was lost, but most of all, she felt peace. She thanked them for their message, blessed their journey, and continued walking her own free, unburdened, whole. Or Daniel, who believed for years that if he ever saw his ex again, he would crumble under the weight of old emotions. But when the moment came, a chance meeting at a small bookstore, he found himself smiling kindly, exchanging small talk, and then walking away without a second glance. Not because he was bitter, not because he needed to prove anything, but because he had already reclaimed every piece of himself that he once gave away. Sagittarius, this is the power you are stepping into now. Fate does not bring back the past to tempt you. Fate brings it back to test you, to reveal to you the transformation that has already taken place inside you. The person you once thought you could not live without will appear not as a savior, not as a villain, but simply as a mirror. A mirror reflecting how much you have grown, how much you have healed, how much you have learned to love yourself. You are not who you were when you first loved them. You are not the same soul who waited by the phone, who made excuses for broken promises, who believed that love meant sacrificing your own dreams. You are wiser now, softer perhaps but stronger. Braver in ways that cannot be measured by anyone else's standards but your own. And when they return, Sagittarius, you will not need to rehearse what to say. Your heart will know. You will meet their eyes and feel the quiet certainty that you no longer need to hold on. You will hear their voice and realize that your worth no longer hinges on their validation. You will remember the love, yes, but you will no longer be chained to it. You have become the home you once searched for in others. There may be a moment of sadness. A mourning not for them, but for the part of yourself that once believed you needed them to survive. Allow that sadness to come. Let it pass like a soft rain over your spirit. It is not a regression. It is a final blessing. A ritual of release for a chapter you have long outgrown. You have loved deeply, Sagittarius. You have endured heartbreak that could have hardened you. But instead you chose to remain open. You chose to rebuild yourself not as a fortress but as a garden wide, wild, and full of new life. And because of that choice, because of that quiet courage, you are being given a rare gift. The freedom to live unbound, the freedom to love without fear, the freedom to choose yourself fully and finally. So when fate brings the past to your doorstep, do not fear it. Do not run from it. Stand tall in the light you have become. Bless what once was. Thank it for the lessons it taught you. And then with the gentlest strength you have ever known, close the door not with anger but with love. Because this time, Sagittarius, the ending is not a tragedy. It is a triumph. It is not the closing of a heart. It is the opening of a new world. A world where you are no longer waiting to be chosen. You have already chosen yourself. And that, dear Sagittarius, is the real miracle. Gate 2, the sacred threshold of transformation. There is a moment in every soul's journey, Sagittarius, when the past and the future meet at a single doorway. It is not loud. It is not obvious to those around you. It happens quietly inside your own heart, when you realize that the person you once loved with all your being has returned. Not to heal you, not to rescue you, but to offer you a choice. It is a sacred threshold, one that only you can cross. This moment is not about them. It never was. It is about you. About whether you are ready to choose yourself fully for the first time in your life, without guilt, without second-guessing, without shrinking to fit into a love that was always too small for the magnitude of your spirit. Many souls have stood at this threshold before you, Sagittarius. I remember Sophia, a Sagittarius woman whose world once revolved around a love that ultimately betrayed her. For years, she built her dreams around someone who never truly saw her light. When he reappeared years later asking for another chance, she felt the old ache rise inside her, the part of her that still longed to be chosen, to be loved the way she had loved. But as she sat across from him, she realized something profound. She no longer needed his choice to validate her own worth. She thanked him for coming back, wished him peace, and walked away, not out of anger, but out of reverence for the woman she had become. Sophia didn't just close a door that day. She stepped through a threshold into a life she had once only dared to dream of. Or Elijah, a fiery Sagittarius man who spent years believing he had failed when a relationship ended. He blamed himself, wondering what he could have done differently. When his former partner reached out with words of regret, Elijah faced a deep internal reckoning. He realized he had outgrown the love he once begged to keep. He saw clearly that returning to the past would require him to abandon the new, stronger version of himself he had fought so hard to build. With kindness, he declined the invitation to start over. And in doing so, he chose his future over his history. Sagittarius, these thresholds are never easy. The familiarity of old love is intoxicating, like a siren song calling you back to a version of yourself you have long since shed. But this is not a test of loyalty to them. It is a test of loyalty to yourself, to the dreams you have nurtured in silence, to the self-respect you have pieced together one quiet choice at a time, to the peace you have guarded through sleepless nights and tearful prayers. When the past reappears, it often brings with it the illusion of comfort, a soft echo of belonging. But true belonging, Sagittarius, is never found in a place where you have to diminish your light to be loved. True belonging is found when you are fully seen, fully honored, fully free. And so when you stand before this threshold, feeling the weight of old memories brushing against your skin, remember, you are not here to fix what once broke. You are not here to mend another's regrets. You are here to choose life, your dreams, your sacred path. There may be a part of you that grieves even as you choose yourself. That is natural. Love does not vanish because we outgrow its vessel. Honor that grief. Let it flow through you like a soft, cleansing rain. But do not mistake it for a sign that you are making the wrong choice. Growth always carries the bittersweet ache of what we must leave behind. In truth, Sagittarius, you are not leaving anyone behind. You are simply choosing not to abandon yourself anymore. And when you step through this threshold, when you bless the past for what it taught you and gently release it, you will feel something shift within you. A lightness, a clarity, a profound peace that no apology, no reconciliation, no external validation could ever provide. You will realize that the love you sought outside yourself has been quietly blooming within you all along. This is the sacred transformation the universe has been leading you toward. Not a louder love, Not a grander romance, but a deeper union with your own soul. And once you cross this threshold, Sagittarius, your life will no longer be defined by who left or who stayed. It will be defined by how fiercely, how tenderly, how unapologetically you chose yourself. Because at the end of the day, that is the greatest love story of all. Gate 3: The awakening of true love and true life. There comes a moment, Sagittarius, when you realize that the greatest love story you have ever been a part of is not the one where someone else finally chooses you. It is the one where you choose yourself. Quietly, steadfastly, without waiting for permission. It is in this sacred awakening that true love, true life finally begins. This awakening is not something you need to force. It rises within you naturally, like the first soft light of dawn after the longest night. It does not announce itself with grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It comes in simple, breathtaking ways. The first morning you wake up and no longer reach for your phone to see if they have called. The first evening you fall asleep without feeling a hollow space in your chest. The first time you laugh, not because someone else made you happy, but because happiness now lives inside you, effortless and free. I have witnessed this awakening in so many beautiful souls who once believed they would never feel whole again. Like Isabella, a Sagittarius who once wept over a love she thought would define her life. For years, she measured her worth against the absence of someone she could not forget. But slowly, as she nurtured her passions, reclaimed her dreams, and treated herself with the tenderness she once reserved for others, something extraordinary happened. One morning, standing at the edge of the ocean, Isabella realized she no longer ached for what was lost. She was in love again, but this time with her own life, or Marcus, who believed he could never recover from the betrayal of someone he had trusted with everything. For a long time he lived in quiet survival, doing all the right things but never feeling truly alive. It was only when he stopped trying to prove he was over it, when he allowed himself to feel the anger, the grief, the vulnerability, that real healing began. Today, Marcus leads retreats helping others walk the same path of inner awakening, and he often says, "Losing them didn't break me. It woke me up to the life I was meant to live." Sagittarius, this is what the universe is preparing you for now. Not the return of old love dressed in new promises, but the arrival of your own light in its full glorious radiance. You are no longer the seeker hoping someone else will complete the unfinished spaces inside you. You are becoming the creator, the one who builds a life so vibrant, so true, that love cannot help but find you, drawn to the undeniable frequency of your wholeness. And yes, real love will come. A love that does not ask you to shrink or hide. A love that does not confuse chaos with passion, or silence with punishment. A love that meets you where you are, already whole, already enough. It may not arrive loudly. It may not look like the love stories you were taught to crave. It will be quieter, steadier, richer. It will feel like coming home, not because someone finally saved you, but because you finally stopped leaving yourself. But even before that love arrives, Sagittarius, you will already have everything you thought you needed from someone else. You will have peace in your own company. You will have pride in your own journey. You will have joy that bubbles up not because of external validation, but because you have finally become the safest place you know. This is the destiny fate has been quietly shaping for you. Not a cycle of longing and loss, but a new era of sovereignty, of authenticity, of sacred, unstoppable love for life itself. You may still feel traces of sadness as you release the past. That is natural. We grieve not only for the people we lose but for the versions of ourselves we had to leave behind. Honor that grief. Let it move through you like the final notes of a song you once danced to but no longer need to play on repeat. You are stepping into a season now where your energy no longer leaks into places that do not nurture you. You are becoming magnetic to the people, the opportunities, the dreams that are aligned with your highest self, not because you are striving to earn them, but because you are finally vibrating at the frequency of your own soul's truth. And when you look back months from now, Sagittarius, you will barely recognize the person who once begged for love, who once measured their worth by someone else's attention. You will see someone else entirely in the mirror. A soul who walks with lightness, who loves with wisdom, who lives without fear. You will understand that what you thought was the end was only ever the beginning of true love, the beginning of true life, the beginning of you. Conclusion: the light you have always been. Sagittarius, as you stand here now, know that you are no longer waiting for fate to bless you. You have become the blessing yourself. The journey you have walked, the silent heartbreaks, the invisible battles, the nights you chose hope when despair would have been easier, has carved a light within you so pure, so steady, that no return of the past can overshadow it. You are not standing at an ending. You are standing at the beginning of a life so aligned, so luminous, that only what honors your soul can stay. Every choice you make now to love without losing yourself, to walk forward without clinging, to believe in the future more than you grieve the past, is a declaration to the universe. I am ready. Ready for true connection. Ready for sacred abundance. Ready for peace that no longer needs to be fought for. If this message has touched your heart, I gently invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our sanctuary here at Zodiac Wisdom. Together we walk the path of healing, not as broken souls, but as luminous beings remembering who we have always been. I would love to hear your voice in the comments. What part of yourself are you choosing to honor today? And remember, dear Sagittarius, you are not what you have lost. You are everything you have found within yourself. And from this moment on, the world will meet you in your full radiant truth.